My name is Hollis Masterson, and I'm here with Yuji Lanier. We are participants in the Project Next Generation program at the Carbondale Public Library. Today is November 16th, 2016, and we will be interviewing Illinois veteran Charles Hamlin at the Carbondale Public Library in Carbondale, Illinois. This interview is being conducted for the Illinois Veterans History Project. Okay, please tell us your full name.
Full name is Charles Robert Hamlin III.
Why do you go by Bobby instead of Charles?
It's been my name since birth. Since I'm the third, there's three of us, obviously, so it's Bob, Bob, and Bobby, and I think I'm going to be stuck with that Y on the end of my name for a long time, so Bobby is just my common name, I guess.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Pontiac, Illinois, on April 19th, 1988.
Can you tell us a little bit about your parents?
My parents, let's see, my dad is a painter wallpaper hanger as a union worker. My mom is a loan officer at a local credit union in the town I was born in, and my stepfather is a farmer.
And can you tell us a little about do you have any siblings?
Yes, I do, actually. I have two brothers and two sisters. One older brother, and the other three are younger.
Did any of your family members serve in the military?
Grandpa's on all sides served, and my dad was also in the Navy.
What were you doing before you entered the service?
After I graduated high school, I only had a couple months before I went to boot camp, so I worked odd jobs. I worked for a lawn care business.
How old were you when you joined the military?
I was 17 when I convinced my mom to let me join the military, so I joined the delayed entry program when I was a senior in high school at 17.
Why did you decide to enlist?
I was, in my own mind, too immature to continue education. I wasn't driven to go to school anymore, and the military just seemed like the right thing to do.
Okay, in which branch of the military did you serve?
I served in the United States Marine Corps.
Why did you choose to serve in the Marine Corps?
I think that it's labeled as the hardest one, the most challenging, and that kind of just drew me in.
Where did you go through basic training?
I went through basic training at MCRD San Diego.
What do you recall of basic training and those first days of service? How did you feel?
A little overwhelmed. It's 13 weeks away from home, which I'm not ever been one to be homesick, but it's difficult to be thrown into that sort of environment with no clue what's going to happen day to day. But you kind of figure it out. So, I mean, overwhelmed at first, but you become comfortable with around the people you're with and the men who train you.
Do you recall your instructors? If so, what were they like?
Oh yes, all four of them by name. I remember my senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Jackson, wasn't there all the time, and then the lead drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Mortimer, was a war hero. Now he's retired. The other two, Staff Sergeant Martinez and Staff Sergeant Xavier, they were kind of the junior instructors and by far the meanest, but they taught me a lot, discipline and respect.
Did you ever consider quitting during basic training?
Never quit.
After you finished basic training, what was your first assignment?
After all the basic training was over, I was assigned to Marine Wing Support Squadron 272 in New River, North Carolina.
How did you adapt to military life?
It's pretty easy. For me, like I said, I'm not one to be homesick or, I like to be out on my own. I'm adventurous, so I made friends easily and just was like work, go to work, go home. The chow hall in my first unit was actually right next to my barracks and right in between my barracks and where I worked, the motor pool I worked in, so I miss the sandwich line on the outside of the chow hall there, because you could walk up and they would make your own sandwich, kind of like Subway, and then they're awesome brownies. I can remember the brownies.
What did you think about the physical regimen, living in barracks, and the food and social life?
Barracks. See, the first barracks I lived in was brand new. I was actually the first person to live in the room I was in, and it was awesome. Brand new. It had all these high-tech lights turned on when you walked in. I had a ceiling fan. I had closets. PT. I'm a physical person, so the training and the physical fitness portion wasn't hard for me. It was fun. I like to challenge myself, so it was enjoyable.
During your time in the Marine Corps, where were you stationed while stateside?
New River, North Carolina, which is in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Camp Lejeune, Quantico, Virginia, and then Camp Pendleton, California.
How long did you spend in North Carolina?
North Carolina, a little over 4.5 years.
And how long were you in California?
About 5.5.
What type of work were you assigned to when you were in the States?
I was a motor vehicle operator, so any specifically an LVS operator, which is more of like a semi, the Marine Corps' version of a semi, and I hauled a lot of engineer equipment, so bulldozers, graders, things like that. I did a lot of transportation of engineer equipment.
I know that your wife also served in the Marine Corps. How did you meet her?
We met in Big Bear, California, through mutual friends, actually.
Did you ever meet while you were both in the Marines?
Say again?
Did you ever meet while you were both in the Marines?
Did you meet while you were both in the Marines?
Yes, we were both active duty Marines when we met.
Did you ever have to be separated from your wife while serving?
No, we didn't work on the same base, but we were both in the San Diego County, California, so I met her more towards the end of my time in the Marine Corps, so I spent all of that time stateside.
Do you and your wife have any children?
Yes, we do.
Were you and your wife serving in the Marines when they were born? How did being married and having children affect your military experience?
All of my children were born while I was in the Marine Corps. One of them prior to my second deployment. Actually, she was born on the 29th of March, and I deployed on the 18th of April, so there was very little time in between those two dates.
Where did you serve overseas?
My first deployment to Iraq, I served on Taqadum Air Base in Al-Anbar Province, Iraq.
What did you do to mentally prepare yourself to go to Iraq and Afghanistan?
I really just followed the pre-deployment training that we had, and I didn't do anything special. I just kind of went with it. I knew that it was going to happen. I accepted it, and it happened.
How old were you when you were first deployed overseas?
My first deployment, I was 19 years old. I came back to the States the day before I turned 20. And my second deployment was actually I deployed the day of my 21st birthday.
What were the biggest adjustments you had to make regarding your relationship, family, and schedule during deployment?
I think kind of like deploying, it was just, we accepted that it was going to happen, so there wasn't much adjustment going on the deployment. I think more coming back.
Tell us about your arrival in Iraq.
It was the desert. It was hot. You don't really know what to expect. I was on a very built-up place, so it wasn't really a shock.
When did you arrive?
September 20-something of 2007 was when we landed, actually. We left on the 18th of September, but it took a few days to actually make it into Iraq. So, the end of September 2007.
What was the food like that you ate while serving overseas?
Iraq, at the time that I was there and where I was very built up, so I mean, I ate a lot of regular food. The chow hall treats us very nice and has a lot of, pizza and pretty much anything you can think of we got to eat.
Did you eat local food? Was there anything there that you particularly liked?
The only local food that I ate in Iraq was a falafel, which, you can get those stateside. It's, I guess if you don't know what it is, it's like a taco, but with bread on the outside.
What was your living situation like while you were in Iraq?
Iraq, we lived in 20-foot containers. We called them cans. It's 2 people, and there's a bunk inside and air conditioner.
What kind of equipment were you issued?
Standard vest and Kevlar, the helmet, a rifle, magazines, ammo.
How many pounds of equipment did you carry each day?
Really just my flak and Kevlar, which, if I could guess, 30 pounds.
Were you issued a GPS of your own?
Nope.
Did you have any experience with IEDs? Can you tell us about the experience?
Not in Iraq. We didn't have any IEDs, but in Afghanistan, none directly to any of the vehicles that I was in, but immediately to the front, the rear, and to the side. Thankfully, no personnel were seriously injured. All survived.
When in Iraq, were you stationed in a green zone, or were you on the front line?
I was on a major logistics base, so we had, lots and lots of people concentrated, and the fight was more out, so we call it a green zone, but, in between.
How long did you spend in Iraq?
7 months.
How much time did you spend in the States before deploying in Afghanistan?
I was here for 1 year, from when I got back to when I left.
Tell us about your tour in Afghanistan.
It was much, much different than my tour in Iraq. The place we went was not built up when we got there. We lived in this huge carnival-style tent. Did not eat the same kind of food we ate. UGRs, which is the same as MREs. There were no bathroom facilities. Shower facilities were very limited. For the first 3 or 4 weeks we were there, we didn't do anything. And then when they decided to expand, the unit that I was in carried a lot of engineer equipment out and built facilities, built bases for other units so that they could take the fight to the enemy.
When were you deployed there?
I left in April of 2009.
What was the landscape and weather like?
Very hot during the day and cool in the evenings, sometimes cold, and open desert.
Did you eat any local food there?
Lots of food.
Was your mission similar to what you did while in Iraq?
The same idea of moving engineer equipment and supplying people with food, water, daily supplies. But more Iraq, since I was in an air wing support unit, we built a lot of helicopter landing pads in Iraq, whereas in Afghanistan we built bases for, troops to live on.
How long was your tour in Afghanistan?
7 months.
Can you talk about any combat action you participated in or witnessed while in Iraq or Afghanistan?
I prefer not to.
Did you sustain any injuries?
No, I did not.
Did you get to know any locals in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Not really know them, but we did have conversations through our interpreter with some in specific places. There's parts of the Afghanistan we were in. There's a lot of agriculture, so we would purchase watermelons from them, or there's some other kind of melons that they grow that we would purchase. Or when we were building these little bases, they would come around just to question, and children are very, very curious of the military personnel in the area, so we would use our interpreter to talk through them.
Did you develop friendships with any of them?
No.
What did you do for entertainment when you were overseas?
Played cards.
What kind of friendships and camaraderie did you form while serving?
I would say that some of the best friends that I could have or ask for, I made on my deployments because we were all we had, and most of the people that I still stay in touch with to this day were because of those deployments.
Did you do anything or have something special for good luck when you were serving in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Not at all.
What was your main form of contact with family and friends while you were deployed?
The phone center, mostly talking on the phone. There was limited ability to use Skype near the end of my Afghanistan deployment, so every once in a while I would use that to talk to my family.
Was your tour or mission ever extended?
Not at all.
Were you awarded any medals or citations for your service in Iraq and Afghanistan?
I received a Navy Achievement Medal for my deployment in Afghanistan.
How was the transition back to the States after your time in Afghanistan was over?
I was happy to be back. It's definitely different going from that work everyday mentality all the time with no break to having freedom and being able to do the things that you missed while you were over there. But you just kind of, I guess I kind of have that accept it because that's what it is type of mentality, as I stated earlier with boot camp and things like that. It is different being able to drive your personal vehicle with cars around you because you're not used to it. You go so long without doing these things that they're kind of foreign to you, but I made it.
When you were discharged from the Marine Corps, or when were you discharged?
I was discharged April 3rd of 2016.
How many years did you serve in total?
9 years, 8 months, and 3 days.
Why did you decide to end your military career?
I think that being married and having 3 kids and just I didn't grow up in the military. I wasn't a military brat, and all 3 of my kids are. And you start to see the the movement from daycare to daycare and school to school, and I didn't want that to continue, and I really decided that I wanted to get a degree, go to college, and just do something different. So it was just time to go.
How were you received by your family and community?
My family was happy to, for me to be back and them to be able to see myself and my kids more often.
What have you done since separating from the military?
I've worked a few jobs. I drove a semi for the first couple months that I was out. I currently work at a dog training and boarding facility, and other than that, just go to college.
Why did you decide to study at SIU?
They have a good forestry program, and because Illinois has the Illinois Veterans Grant, which will allow me to do more schooling than just the GI Bill, I decided to come back because I could use that benefit.
What are you majoring in?
Park and recreation management.
What do you plan to do after graduation?
I hope to get a job with the National Park Service somewhere out west.
Do you feel that these benefits... Have you used any military benefits?
I'm currently using the post 9/11 GI Bill.
Do you feel that these benefits were adequate?
Oh, yes.
Have you remained in contact with fellow veterans?
All the time. Like I said before, most of my friends are veterans that I served with, and not just on deployment. I have some very good experiences stateside of friends that, I will remain friends with for a long time.
Do you find that most of your current friends are also veterans?
Actually, all but one of them are veterans. For some reason, we flock together.
Are you a member of any veterans?
I'm a member of the VFW.
Are there any other young veteran members?
I don't believe so. I haven't met any of them. And I don't know why, because it's a great thing to be a part of. It's just getting them there is the hard part.
Why do you think there are so few?
Maybe because they don't know, or I don't know. Maybe they think it's for the older crowd. I don't understand it.
Do you have any funny stories or experiences that you would like to share from your time in the Marines?
I could probably come up with a million funny stories, but I don't think that they're appropriate.
When you look back on your decade of military service, how did your military experiences affect the way you live now?
I think it makes me more cautious as a person. I think everything about me is Marine, and a lot of people tell me that. Just the way I conduct myself, the respect that I give to other people, my work ethic, it's all based in all of the training and just my experiences of being a Marine.
Has anyone ever thanked you for your service?
Many people.
How did it make you feel?
Proud, glad that I did it. A lot of those people are also veterans themselves, so I return that appreciation.
How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
I don't think that war is a bad thing. It's been happening for millennium. It's happening. We have to be there to answer. So it's not. I don't think bad things come of it, but it's going to happen. So we need to be there.
What is the most positive thing you took away from your experience in the service?
There's a lot of things I took away with it. Pride. I have a lot of pride being a Marine.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will hear and view this interview?
I think give the military a chance. For some people, going to college is the right thing to do right away, but you learn a lot of things in the military. I came from a very disciplined background. I worked and put out physically, but the military gives you more structure, can help you learn financial responsibility. There's a lot of great things that come out of serving your country and having that pride that I just talked about. So give it a chance. It's don't just put it off because it doesn't seem like something you can do, because it's a goal that many could attain if they just put their mind to it.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So, say right at the end, right?
Thank you for your time and for your service to our country.
Thank you.